What's up, guys? Paramoto here. Today I want to talk about the 5 things that I think Ducati could have done to make the 959 a better motorcycle. Let's get to it. So guys, I don't want to throw any hate towards Ducati. You know I love this motorcycle, and this guy is literally parked in the middle of the fucking road. What the fucking fuck are you the fuck doing, you fucking idiot? Anyway, so I bought this bike stock almost a year ago now, and I've kept it basically stock because I like every part of it. There's not really much about this bike I would change, and that's a big reason why I got this bike. But there are some things that I think Ducati could have done to make this a better motorcycle overall. So I'd say the first thing, and the thing that kind of will get you almost on a daily basis on this bike, is the mirrors. The mirrors could have been done better on this bike. And there's kind of like, it's not like one thing or another that makes the mirrors suck. There's a lot of things that make these mirrors kind of suck, you know? And you know what, these mirrors aren't terrible. Like, you can see out of them. There's blinkers on the outside, so they're safe. I mean, if you guys ride sport bikes, you know that the mirrors are kind of like an afterthought most of the time. On this bike, it doesn't really seem to be, because they are functional, which is, you know, in the sport bike world, having functional mirrors is like, you know, not something that's ever normal. You know, not being able to see behind you is kind of like the curse of every sport bike rider. First of all, they don't fold. So that's something that will literally get you every single time you're in a tight spot, is that these mirrors don't fold. Most mirrors you can fold in. These are fixed place mirrors. They're stuck in place. You can't do anything about these besides remove them or just deal with them being what they are, you know? So I learned that when I first brought it home and I was trying to get into a tough spot and everything, and you find yourself literally every time you gotta squeeze, you gotta dip the motorcycle one way, dip the motorcycle the other way to get around a narrow obstacle. And that's one reason why I don't think this bike makes a perfect city bike, because the mirrors don't fold in. So you always have to worry about, you know, hitting the mirrors off another car, or, you know, something happening if you decide to lane split, which isn't legal here, so you shouldn't be doing it in North Carolina. But I mean, let's all be honest, I mean, we all do it. So yeah, the mirrors are unfoldable. They're also fragile. Like, I've seen these, I don't know if the plastic is just really stiff or something like that, but I've seen these mirrors break. Like, they break mid-shaft, and I've even seen people hit the mirrors so hard they crack the fairing underneath. That's a very expensive proposition when you start talking about cracking fairings, especially on an Italian bike. I mean, to give you a frame of reference, a nose cone on my CBR 600RR was $900. So I couldn't imagine what one costs from an Italian factory. Another thing that I've seen them do is that the glass part of the mirror, I've seen videos where they rattle off. Like, literally, the mirror will just start rattling really hard, and then all of a sudden, there it goes down the fucking freeway, you know? I've seen that happen on YouTube before, and it's kind of crazy to me that you spend $16,000 on a sport bike. I know Ducati's thinking this is a track bike. It is a track bike. We're going to concentrate on the engine, and we're going to concentrate on the mechanics of this bike, and the mirrors are kind of like afterthought. Like, you don't put your top engineer on designing good mirrors, but at the same point, you're spending $16,000 on a sport bike. Like, come on. Damn, this garbage truck is like dropping garbage everywhere. Yeah, I would stop too. I would stop too and try to sort yourself out for sure. A daily thing that you'll notice with this bike is the slow speed turning radius on this thing sucks. And that's probably because it's about 1000cc bike. Every 1000cc bike does not have a good slow speed maneuverability. Like, it's hard. That's why you don't see beginners taking their motorcycle safety foundation test. You don't see them doing it on a CBR 1000 or a Ninja 1000 or a Ducati Panigale 959. You just don't see that happening, and there's a reason for that, and that's because 1000cc bikes are not known to be the most agile motorcycles that there are. I'm gonna keep going straight. So when you see me going down the road and you see me going really slow and the bike's barely turning at all, that's because I live where the city meets the country, and there's a lot of gravel on the road, and I can't take corners fast, so I have to go slow. And this bike does not do corners slow very well at all. It's kind of like a jet ski. Once you get it up to speed, it lightens up, and the bike's not heavy at all. It only weighs like low 400s, but at low speeds, this bike is really hard to maneuver, on turns and stuff, you're going to be really slow. You're probably going to be slower than most other bikes and everything. And, you know, honestly, it's going to be something that you notice. Once you speed things up, though, it smooths out dramatically. But you just got to get the RPMs up. You got to get the speed up. But, I mean, if you look at turns like this, look at all this fucking gravel. I don't know if you guys can see this. Look at all this gravel. It's like a little sand pit. Every turn is like a little sand pit here. My, like, third gripe is something that I noticed, but then after doing a little bit of research, I realized that there's almost kind of like a reason for it. With the Panigale 959, you get yellow headlights. I mean, yellow headlights like normal everyday bulbs, and they're yellow in color, and they don't look particularly all that attractive and everything like that. And, you know, they just kind of leave a little bit to be desired. They're not like LEDs. They're not like a bright white. I mean, you have this beautiful nose, and it's just kind of like a blah in the middle of a beautiful nose. And that's done for a couple reasons. One is absolutely cost. I mean, basically everything that's done by companies nowadays is because of cost. And that's another thing that gets done because of cost. Old style bulbs are cheap. So there's one other thing that the yellow bulbs actually do for you, and that's keep the weight down. I actually didn't know it until I started researching and started, you know, listening to other more educated people on the topic. But the yellow bulbs are actually lighter. So some of the more expensive Ducati models come with yellow bulbs. Like, because the LED head unit is so much heavier than the regular bulb unit, they just put the yellow ones in there, and it's just cheaper, and it's way lighter. So it kind of keeps the weight down too for some of the more expensive models. So like the R models on some of these bikes will have yellow bulbs, and it's like, dude, I just spent like 40 grand on a motorcycle, and I got like old style 90s fucking headlights. Like, what the fuck is that? You know, it's to keep the weight down. But it's something on this bike where you can literally go to get Philips, like those cool white bulbs from Philips, or bright whites, whatever the fuck they are, that everybody puts in them, and I'm gonna probably put them in too. And it makes it look like it's LED, and they're cheap. So it's like, really, Ducati, you couldn't have spent like an extra 20 bucks to basically button this thing up from the factory? But I mean, I guess it is what it is. I mean, it's again meeting a price point out the door. Okay, so this is one thing that every bike manufacturer does, and I don't understand it. The fucking tail. Oh my god, the fucking tail. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's like a big paddle on the back of your fucking motorcycle. Why does every bike manufacturer have to do that? You could probably spend roughly the same amount of money and get a nice buttoned up package, you know, straight up out the door from the factory, and your riders, your consumers would greatly appreciate not having a gigantic paddle on the back of their bike that they're gonna have to delete, because it's gonna get deleted off this bike. Believe you me, it's gonna get deleted. It's just, we're gonna do a video series on it first, and I'm keeping it stock for the video series. But why in the shit on a $16,000 sport bike are there gigantic license plate paddle things? I don't get it. My last gripe on this bike, and again, it's a sport bike. I mean, I get it. You know, it's a sport bike. It's meant for speed. It's meant for track use. This bike is not meant to be, you know, daily driven, going to the grocery store all the time. I mean, this bike is more of a grocery store than it is a track missile for me, especially since it goes to the grocery store almost every day, and it has never been to the track once yet. But anyway, I digress. One thing that I will say about this bike is that it comes with a very uncomfortable seat. Like, the seat that comes with it is like this thin, and it's called the sports seat for a reason. It's only meant for very short rides. It is very well designed ergonomically. Like, when I sat on it, like, my butt fit on it perfectly. Like, wow, like, my butt fits perfectly on this thing. How awesome. But at the same point, it's still like, oh my god, it's so uncomfortable. Like, I went for a ride with this thing, and literally after an hour, I was in physical pain. I was in physical pain from this bike. And it wasn't the heat that people always fucking say, which isn't an issue at all. Stop complaining about it. But it was literally physical pain from how bad the seat was cutting into the like, basically part of, like, my butt that meets my leg. Yeah, so that's an issue that you probably could solve by, you know, putting a little bit more softer padding. Like, you basically almost have to, immediately buy a comfort seat for this. And like, I know people that literally, they bought a Ducati and they went straight over to the parts counter and ordered a comfort seat. And you kind of have to. That's what I ended up doing. I asked my girlfriend to buy me one for Christmas. So I bought this bike on Christmas, or in Christmas time, I should say. And that's what I ended up having to do. I literally fucking had her buy me the comfort seat for Christmas. Which the comfort seat makes this bike 10 times better. Like, it makes this bike usable. One thing that the comfort seat does, though, and a lot of people don't understand it, is that the comfort seat makes you sit up a little bit higher, which means you're a little bit more lean forward. So if you already have a lot of pressure on your wrist, you're going to have a little bit more. So guys, that's my 5 things that I would change to make the Ducati 959 a better motorcycle from the factory. This isn't to say that I don't love this motorcycle still. I absolutely do love this motorcycle. But I mean, there's just a couple of different things that I would have changed. It's a couple little tweaks, you know, but I mean, nothing major. Overall, I mean, I bought this bike because I love this bike, and I would totally buy this bike again with all the little minor flaws and stuff that it has. So other than that, guys, I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Deuces.